For the past 15 years, the State House has offered an annual Valentines Sale as part of Under the Dome gifts offerings during the Valentine's season. And former Assistant State Curator Tracy Martin was the person who conceived of the idea of taking our photographs of State House items and transforming them into a wide variety of State House Valentines, all custom made with custom verses that were dreamed up by members of the State Curator's staff. Our newest offering is one that, of course, features the new statue on top of the State House dome. It says, "You'll always be a goddess to me. Happy Valentine's Day." And we also have a professional calligrapher, Christopher, over here at the table next to the Valentines, who will inscribe the Valentines with beautiful writing, whatever the buyer of the Valentine wants to be written on the inside. Chris does the honors for a little tip. And it's all about the goodwill in the State House. Most of these are designed for the inside the State House crowd, although for those on the outside, we have also helpfully put on the back of each Valentine what the object is and where it is located, because even the people in the building would be challenged to know that this is a Renaissance cherub on a drapery cornice above the rostrum in the Senate chamber. So those details are known by curators, but they may not be known by the entire audience. Anyway, have a happy Valentine's Day.
Hi, my name is Pat Brennan. I'm a state representative from Colchester. I represent the Malice Bay portion of Colchester, and I am on the Ways and Means Committee this year, formerly the Chair of Transportation. It's a different committee for me this year. It's challenging. Everything is new. We talk about taxes in there. We talk about revenues in Ways and Means, and so far this year we're working on a miscellaneous tax bill. We're doing markup on that currently. And as far as any new revenues go, we haven't seen anything yet other than an e-cigarette tax, which passed out of committee the first week. On another note, until there's more interesting tax information to convey to the public here, I would talk about the Legislative Sportsman's Caucus. I co-chair with Cynthia Browning from Arlington, John Rogers, and Alice Nicka from the Senate. It's a group of bipartisan, bicameral group of legislators who get together and promote, protect, preserve Vermont's outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing venues, and we promote through various legislation and just camaraderie, and get together a couple times a year to hash out any new legislation we might put forth. This year, a couple of priorities for us are we're working on a suppressor bill for hunting, which is we're calling the Hearing Protection Act. It basically allows hunters who wish to put a suppressor on their gun and maybe save their hearing for future years to enjoy that level of protection. Suppressors are federally regulated. They require ATF background checks, quite intensive. They're expensive, so it's not and it's not a weapon by itself. So we're hoping to pass that legislation and give hunters in Vermont that protection for hearing. Other than that, we will be hosting a legislative sportsman's get-together in the mixer, we call it, in the cafeteria the end of March, we will be putting flyers out on that, and it's a get-together of sportsmen, legislators, share their ideas, discuss differences, and hopefully come to agreement on some of the contentious items that we face this year. So with that said, we are currently working, I should say one more thing here, we're currently working on a plan to keep the fish hatchery in Salisbury open for at least a couple more years. I know if you're an outdoor recreationist and a fisherman, that's important. And it's a $15 million fix to retro that facility up. And we're not looking at that. We're going to try to keep it open for a couple more years at a cost of about $500,000 a year, and hopefully retrofit other hatcheries to take up the slack when it does close. So that's all I've got here today from Montpelier, and I appreciate the time. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Representative Mike Yantachka from Charlotte, and since this is Valentine's Week, I'm wishing a happy Valentine's Day to my wonderful wife Janet, and giving her this State House Valentines Day card, which I picked up from the Friends of the Vermont State House. So the work that my committee has been doing, this week we were focused on getting the Agency of Digital Services established in Vermont statute. The Agency of Digital Services was created 2 years ago by Governor Scott with the concurrence of the legislature, in that we didn't object to it. What it did was consolidate all the IT development and support for state government under one umbrella called the Agency of Digital Services. Prior to this, all IT development was spread out through departments and agencies throughout state government. They managed and paid for their own IT services. A lot of it was duplicated. And this consolidation under one umbrella was done to, number one, save money, number two, to develop standards to which all IT projects would be developed, and number three, give the legislature a chance to see what the actual costs were, and also to consolidate the cybersecurity functions of the that we need throughout the state, because cybersecurity is becoming has become such an important factor in every IT system. So this year we passed the bill today. As a matter of fact, H-135, which establishes the Agency of Digital Services in Vermont statute and gives it the authority and responsibilities that it's been actually doing for the last 2 years. So, thank you.
Hey, Rick. So this is it's been a while since I've been on your program here. I guess over a year under the Golden Dome. So I should tell you, I finally have a logo for my talk radio show every Saturday. I talk politics with hopefully 2 guests, sometimes 1. Last week I had Adjutant General Candidate Colonel Greg Knight on the show to discuss, well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get him on record committing to solving the cultural difficulties up in the National Guard. I'm sure everybody's seen the Digger articles and the scandals and the culture of sexual assault. We need to deal with that, and I think that Greg Knight, he said some things on the show that were pretty convincing in that regard, and I think I probably will support him and see about helping other legislators make that decision if they're on the fence. I don't know that much about the other candidates, but anyway, Rick, I wanted to tell you I'm really excited about something. I've just been reelected, so I didn't introduce myself yet, but here we go. I'm Jay Hooper. I represent Brookfield, Braintree, Randolph, Granville, and Roxbury here in the House of Representatives. This is my 2nd term. The last 2 sessions I served on the House Ag and Forestry Committee. Now I'm on the Education Committee. And since returning to the building, I've been doing my diligence to galvanize the youth caucus in the building. So there are about 20 votes under 40 years old, mostly in the House. There's one senator, Corey Parent, who actually, I don't think he did most of the work, but it was Keisha Ram who he teamed up with, as well as Diana Gonzalez, when I think it was in 2014 when they linked up with a federal outfit called the Millennial Action Project. And they've got, I think, 28 different states that subscribe to their resources in terms of creating what they call, so the Vermont Future Caucus. There'd be, I think Wisconsin would have Wisconsin Future Caucus. I'm actually not sure if they have one or not, but hey, how's it going, Eli? But anyway, that's what I've been doing. I've been really excited to get everybody together. I had everybody put together their issue priorities, each of the members. Our youngest member is 21. Our oldest is 42. So there's sort of it's a soft threshold, the 40-year age mark. It's Brian Chena. He's pretty youthful in spirit. He also works with youth in his profession. He's a therapist I think in Burlington and Winooski. So he'll have some good insights. But anyway, in this profile sheet that I passed out to everybody, I had them write their name, their age, their committee, their district, the towns in their district, what party they belong to. And we came up with our priorities for issues generally. I asked for 3 to 5, but there were 6 different standouts, the ones that were most consistent responses. So if I can remember the order: affordable housing, childcare, climate action, internet infrastructure, workforce development, and affordable education. So student loan type stuff. That one was probably the least popular of the 6, but that's why it's number 6. So keep your eyes open and your ears clear, because the youth are on the scene and we're trying to make a difference for the future of this state and solve some demographical challenges. So thanks, Rick, for your time. I'll see you next week maybe with an update.
Hi, I'm Dick McCormack. I represent the Windsor County Senate District in the Senate. That's Windsor County, Mount Holly, and Londonderry. And like everyone in the legislature, I'm involved with the central issues that we're dealing with, things like minimum wage, water cleanup, and so on. But I thought, since I get to talk to you folks a couple of times each session, I would talk about a particular bill that I've introduced with Caledonia, the junior senator from Caledonia, Joe Benning. Joe Benning is the Republican leader in the Senate. I am a Democrat. I think it's telling that the two of us are doing this bill together. It's a bill to require the study of civics as a requirement for high school graduation. Generally, the legislature does not direct curriculum. We deal with a lot else pertaining to education, but curriculum is up to the professionals. It's a matter of academic freedom, and I would generally oppose the legislature giving mandates on curriculum. But in this case, one of the fundamental functions of public education, going back to the early 19th century, is that besides training people up to be self-sufficient, self-supporting, competent adults, besides giving our students the equipment they're going to need to function in life as individuals, it is also the function of public education to raise up citizens, to train people in the necessary elements of being a citizen of a republic, of a democratic republic. And right now, we really are not doing that. The level of ignorance of people, and when I say ignorance, I don't mean I disagree with them. There are people I disagree with who nevertheless have their chops down. And there are people who I agree with who make me wince, because when they articulate a position I actually actually agree with, it's done incompetently. There is a level of ignorance in our country regarding our fundamental principles and the structure of our republic. And a republic cannot be a republic if the people are not connected to its institutions and are not active in carrying out the work of those institutions. And when we look at just the low voter turnout, for example, but also there are people who don't know that there are three branches of government, that the three branches of government have separation of powers, that that the separation of powers also translate to a system of checks and balances where each branch checks the other. There are people who never heard of this, and that I get lectured at with stuff that's simply misinformation. I've had people say to me very indignantly, the United States Constitution says we're one nation under God. No, actually the Pledge of Allegiance says that. It's a line from a poem, a line added in the 1950s to a poem. A patriotic poem that people honor, of course, but nevertheless not the Constitution. And I've had people tell me the President of the United States is our Commander-in-Chief. No, he's not. He's the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. The American people don't have a Commander-in-Chief, nor could we and still be the American people. The idea of the American people operating under the authority of a Commander-in-Chief would be fundamentally at odds with everything that makes us America. The way I look at it, the analogy is this. Anyone in Vermont who likes to get out in the woods has at one time or another come upon a dead white birch. And when a white birch dies, the branches fall off at a certain point, but the trunk remains standing. And the trunk is actually just a tube of bark filled with sawdust. And it looks solid, but you go up and you lean on it, and it'll fall over. The whole tree, you can knock a tree over with one finger because it has this shape, but it doesn't have the integrity, doesn't have the structural integrity. I think that's pretty much what happened to the Eastern European economies in the last days of communism. They were theoretically still functioning, but there was no there. And it is possible to maintain the structure, the appearance of a republic, but really not be functioning as a republic. It is necessary that people understand the structure, understand the fundamental ground rules. And I note again where I started that Joe Benning and I are the co-sponsors of this. Joe and I may disagree on any number of political issues. We agree on the ground rules for dealing with those disagreements. Of course, there's also that Joe and I are each so egotistical that each of us is convinced a better educated republic is more likely to agree with me. But in any case, this is, I think, a good effort. There are people who worry that it'll cause too much controversy. It probably will. My view is fine, bring it on. We're a republic. We have structures for dealing with controversies. And there are people who are also very protective. I've been a teacher, and my family, teaching is the family business. I'm very protective of academic freedom, and I don't generally like the legislature dictating anything about curriculum. But I think in this case, it's that fundamental that we should do it. So that's one bill that maybe is dead as a doornail by the time your listeners hear this. But one does what one can. Thanks.